Hello and welcome to the Footy Mailbag. My name is Damo.
And I'm Clarky. Kablooey, here's the questions.
Well, that was a bit different, wasn't it?
I feel like we should have planned that out a little bit, but there was absolutely no bridge. We introduced ourselves into the music. I said something about Kablooey. Leave it all in.
I don't know if any of that made the final edit.
No, you have to leave it in now because I'm directly referencing it, Damo.
We're trying
Also,
something different. We're trying something different.
We tried to do it to cut time, Damo, and now we're adding additional time to explain it.
I mean, people will ask questions because it's the first time we're doing it. We'll get quicker at it, but
people will ask questions about it, as in, why did you do that? And do it better.
Unfortunately, Clarky, I think I hate it. Anyway, round one, been and gone, as we do every single week. We're going to start off with what caught your eye. Clarky, what caught your eye?
Melbourne fucking smashed the Saints. Hell yeah. Suck shit St Kilda. Suck shit Nass. Suck shit Ross Lyon. All you haters putting Melbourne at the bottom of the ladder. We may never lose again. Latrell Pickett is amazing. Cozzy Pickett is amazing. Jacob Van Rooyen, he's a forward now, Damo. He's real. He kicked 6 goals. And most importantly of all, everyone talking shit about Max Gawn. Oh, he's too old. He can't score good. One of the best scoring rucks for the round. Not the best scoring rucks, but 122, top 4. He was one of the top 4 rucks of the round. That's premium territory money. And it felt very validating to me because I've been saying it this whole time. We need rucks that have alternative ways of scoring points. Right, and Max Gawn was that through and through. Kicked the goal, was taking intercept marks. He was everywhere. He played the entire quarter, the entirety of the last quarter. Sorry, he was fit. He's fitter than Tom DeConnick.
I believe it was like 90% time on ground or 92% time on ground. Like he could actually still be the best ruckman in the AFL at his age, which is incredible, especially considering the new rules and all that are supposed to, not really be designed for endurance, but hey, he's been using the new rules and he looked good. He went into full max mode, in that last quarter and looked incredible.
He maxed out his stats or something else, some other joke that uses the word max. Damo, what caught your eye?
I mean, a few things caught my eye, but I'll stick with one. It was Lockie Blackiston on Friday night. I started him. I regret starting him because he looked terrible with 2 rucks going up against him. Essendon, do something about that. Get him some help. But when I exactly, but Essendon, do something.
Isn't Nick Ryan still dead?
Yeah, but they've got Peter Wright. They've got Vigo.
Dante Vigo. They've got Vigo. Sorry, Dante.
They've got Vigo. It sounds like Vigo sounds like a disease. But the thing that stood out to me in his stats were, as a ruckman, he was supremely inefficient. 19 hitouts, only 4 to advantage, 8 sharked, and he also gave away 5 free kicks, had a handful of no pressure errors, and in 9 disposals, only 4 of them were effective. So 62, after all that, probably sounds pretty impressive, but I don't know. I kind of want to jump off him.
Well, Tamer, that's all well and good to rationalize why there was a bad score, the double teaming, the poor efficiency. But there's something else that kind of all underpins, which is maybe he's just not a great ruckman. And just because he was cheap and had opportunity doesn't necessarily mean that he will be a prolific scorer. Yeah. You can take the other example of literally the other side of the coin, right? Where over at Hawthorn, Lloyd Meek stinking it up in the Supercoach.
Yep.
Ned Reeves is the dominant Hawthorn ruckman in this new era, which makes me sick. It makes me feel sick, Damo, to have to say that. Mostly because Lloyd Meek is the only ruck that I have in a specific Dynasty League that I am a part of. I think the trouble with starting Blackiston all along was that people were kind of viewing like, oh, well, he's a ruckman, he is cheaply priced, he should probably be able to scrape through a respectable score that will carry me long enough that I won't have to consider cashing him out early.
But
think that might not be the case.
I think people were starting Blackiston with the idea that if Lockie McAndrew didn't last more than a month, that Blackiston could eventually, with added DPP, could eventually step into that spot and they could relieve McAndrew of his duties. But, I mean, I have no issues getting rid of Blackiston in my team because Lockie McAndrew looked great up against Darcy Cameron on the weekend. And Darcy Cameron is one of the best limiting ruckmen in the league. So I'm pretty happy with Lockie McAndrew and going in with my safety blanket gone. Like if I so choose to get rid of Blackiston. Up against Dante Vicentini this week, you won't know if he's good or not because I don't think Vicentini at Port is a good barometer. He completely let Tristan Cherry walk all over him. Mind you, Port Adelaide let most of North Melbourne walk all over them, so I don't know if that's a good indication. But I don't think you're going to see what you want out of Blackiston this week to be able to confirm to you that he is worth keeping. But obviously, having a second look is fine if you want to do that.
I think generally my advice, if it were me, I didn't start Blackiston. I started my own different, unique problems, Damo, like Archie Roberts. Fuck, I'm not unpacking that right now, but I think
also an Essendon player.
Correct.
Brad Scott sorted out.
Yeah, I think it's too early to jump straight off him. You kind of get another look. It's best 18, so if he does stink it up, then, the score might drop out if you have appropriate coverage. And either way, his break even is 50, which is more than achievable, especially against Vicentini. So that might just, he might do enough where he can at least maintain his price and not lose money, right? Let's focus on, real issues because we've got some definite injuries this week that are much more in need of attention.
I mean, I will say this, with Blackiston, the only reason I would trade him out this week is if the player you're bringing in makes total sense. We've had teams that have now played 2 games because of opening round. There are some players that are going to get out of reach and some players that are going to lose a ton of cash. If getting out of Blackiston now to deal with that is part of that is part of how you have to do your trades this week, then I don't mind it. But I think a lot of these players who have still only played 1 game, you need to look at a second game before you decide what you're doing with them. But yeah, generally, if they've only played 1 game, you want to kind of temper or, rest your trigger finger for a moment there because, we're so quick to judge these players off a poor score in round 1, but if it was in round 19 and it was just 1 score out of 10 or whatever, we would just write it off as a bad week. So I think we just need to assess the data after 2 weeks and make moves then.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Clarkey, did you start Sam Walsh?
I did not.
Would you have been happy with his performance on Thursday night?
Visually, yes. Supercoach-wise, no.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that stood out to me on Friday morning and even a little bit on Thursday night, but mostly Friday morning when I looked on my social media, which is a great place at the moment.
Probably don't do that, Damo. Don't hurt yourself like that.
Lots of people saying, I'm so glad I didn't fall into the Sam Walsh trap and similar comments, but his stats weren't bad. I'm surprised that it was only a 96 out of the stats that we saw at the end of the game. He also spent half a quarter getting his under eye stitched or something because cut under the eye.
Yeah.
So I think if you have him, I think he's going to be okay. I don't think you need to worry about him so much. If he's going to pump out 31 disposals and average 96 though, and he does it again like next game, then maybe that's when you start to, you start to find issues and, in owning him. But I think the score doesn't match the stats in my opinion.
I think the takeaway from this is, I hate to sound a bit like a wet blanket because there's kind of a few different scenarios, right? Where it's, if you're with a group of friends and you're like, haha, I didn't start Sam Walsh, I bet you're happy with that. Or you're in a well-known league and that kind of thing, and you can do it in good faith, great. I don't think there's really any need to sort of go after round one of Supercoach, be like, Sam Walsh, what a trap, you morons. You absolute fuck nuggets. I never would fall into that. Like, just give it a rest, right? Like, I didn't see anything from Sam Walsh's game, like you said, Damo, that isn't him doing exactly what we thought he would be, which is he was kind of a value option that has potential for ceiling, but realistically, he's like a 90 to a 110 guy, right? Like, that's the range where he's kind of going to sit in, week week out. I chose not to go there because I just reallocated my cash somewhere, but it's the same thing where it's like Ed Richards, the Ultra Pod, only scored a 90. But, I didn't see anyone sort of rationalizing the reasons why he only scored 90, and they're like, oh, we shouldn't have gone for Richards, But Ed Richards scored 90 because he wasn't really that needed in a game where the Bulldogs were winning by almost 100 points at one point in time.
Just on Ed Richards, I watched that entire game. So I don't really watch live scores anymore. I used to do it religiously, but now with the way the scoring is going this season, it feels like you don't really know where a player's at in a game until the game is over, because they seem to hold a lot of points back for scaling and then redistribute the points once the game is almost over or is over. So I didn't see that Ed Richards score until the end of the game, and to see that he only scored 90 kind of made sense, but like, he was still really good in that game. It's just most of the work he was doing was after the result was pretty much, safe from
Bot
doubt.
needed a rest. Too many points. He was feeling sick out there, I hear.
Like, the result was pretty much decided by the time Ed Richards was doing much. Like, he wasn't required. If it was just one of those games.
Yeah, I think I think the takeaway from
fine,
this, I think the takeaway from this talking point is that it's round one. Use your judgment to evaluate how the player looked in their role and not necessarily what the scoring outcome was. And see, don't be a dickhead about it. Like, it's not that deep, and you will be much happier trying to enjoy Supercoach than you will be trying to cut other people down. We get it quite a lot. Like, we're in that content creation sphere, so the second you say something and it turns out to be wrong, if you're popular enough. I'm not popular enough, so I don't have this problem, Damo. But I see it happen to a lot of other content creators that I like as people, because there's a lot of good people out there. But the second something happens and they're like, oh, that hasn't panned out, and the content creator person will just be like, guess that didn't pan out. That's the game. Like, it's all made up, and someone would be like, oh, you chud. How dare you? Like, you think you're so good because you got a YouTube channel, and it's like, well, make your own. Like, it's not that deep. Go have fun, listeners. Have fun with this. I am really upset about starting Archie Roberts, but you know what I'm not going to do? Make my entire week about how bad I feel about that whole thing. A, because I have bigger problems to deal with, and B, because, it is what it is. While we're talking about Damon, I did something crazy right before lockout.
Oh no. Clarky, what did you do?
I dropped Nick Dacos.
Oh. Go on. What did you do with the Nick Dacos money?
I flipped him to LDU. Okay.
And how did you feel about that after the round was over?
Honestly, the extra, for about 100k, it only netted me like 16 less points. Very genuinely, if I had captained any of my other good players that weren't Butters, like if I had captained English or I have Petrarca, or even Sinclair, it would have made zero difference to my week, but I now have extra cash in the bank, which has helped me this week with the injury to Errol Goulden. But I just thought I'd be upfront about that I have LDU in my team now. The numbers indicated...
you can go Errol Goulden back to Nick Dacos.
I'm not going to do that, but not because I don't like Nick Dacos, but because I'm trying to save money to get rid of Archie Roberts if he's stinky again. If he's poo-poo again this week, Damo, Roberts is gone. Like I said, other issues this week, but the numbers say that LDU should have a good year, and he had a really good role. Like, while we're talking about players who you see the score and you go, I get it, but you would have thought it would have been higher. LDU, prolific in the absolute destruction of Port Adelaide, but Sheezel was probably the highest beneficiary of the point scoring, along with Dylan Stevens and Tom Powell. But LDU had a really, really nice role. He was really important in that offense. So,
to be fair, there wasn't enough points for all the good the players were doing for North Melbourne. Like,
not often we say that.
Like Butters scraping out a 94, he did nothing in that second half. So
he was tagged for a quarter to one touch?
Yeah, so like for 94, considering Port Adelaide was stinky, like stinky butthole stinky, like for Butters to finish on 94, that's pretty good. That's pretty good for considering.
Yeah, considering it's stinky, as that's the word of the week, apparently. I love that I've gone from like I opened up this show with saying like get fucked St Kilda because I was so happy about Melbourne winning, but now I'm like no, I gotta say stinky to keep it PG. I gotta say I can't call them shit. I gotta say stinky to keep it PG. Add a little bit of that little lemon zest on top of it. Damo, I think we've got some injuries to talk about this week though.
Yeah, before we get to the injuries, I just want to quickly ask you about rookies.
No.
How many rookies did you have? Yeah, I saw you skipped over that.
The answer is no.
How many rookies did you have on your bench that you are probably going to field this week?
Let me have a quick look. It is actually the only two really that I didn't get where Grill was on my bench. I probably could have swapped him for Sarong, but much of a muchness. It's 73 to 54 is 19 points. But Devrob was the one that I missed. Pretty grave. But also I had no faith in West Coast, so 105 was definitely way, way outside of my calculations of like what's the possible maximum score Dev Robertson is going to get. Will I change that this week because West Coast are playing North? Not after what I saw North do to Port Adelaide.
I think I fielded the right rookies, really. I had Sarong on my field instead of Jakes. I probably should have swapped that around. I liked Sarong's role in opening round, so I thought he would be better. Dev Robertson was on my bench, and Philippou was on field. That obviously I can't plan for an injury, but even his role before the injury didn't look great. So I'm kind of worried about him, but at rookie price, he's still going to be an okay moneymaker, so I don't see a reason to jump off him just yet. And hopefully his quad strain is just quad awareness, I should say, is just awareness. He's a test this week. Yeah. If we want to jump straight into the injury updates, he is a test this week. Rookie.
He's aware that his quad is fucked.
He's aware of his quads, yes. Another rookie that really jumped off the page was Todd Marshall. He ended that game against North Melbourne, the bench, with an ankle problem, but wasn't even listed on Power's injury report, and they're pretty confident that he will play against Essendon this week, so I'm leaving him on my field because 90 in about 3/4 was excellent from him. Hayden Young, news just today, he's going to be missing the game this week against your mob, Clarkie. Melbourne with a hamstring strain. It sounds like they didn't even think it was a strain until they got it scanned. So it must be very minor, but they're not willing to give a timeline just yet. We'll talk about him in just a second. Isaac Heaney has been ruled out of the game against Hawthorn with a hamstring, with also hamstring awareness, but the 5-day turnaround made it difficult for him to line up. And obviously, if you haven't heard the news, Errol Goulden is out for at least 4 months because he has to get his shoulder reconstructed.
Excellent. This is excellent news all around. We're all very happy about all this news that you're giving me, Damo. Should we...
Let's talk
Where do
about.
you wanna
Let's quickly jump on Hayden Young because I actually don't think he'll be out for longer than a couple of weeks.
But-
If they were calling it awareness, and it's middle of the week, and they still only thought it was awareness before getting it scanned, I'm pretty confident that he could be okay. Maybe next week or the week after. If it's any longer than a couple of weeks, I'd probably move him on. But for this week, especially, I'm happy to hold him in best 18.
Yeah, I don't think I can see, unless you have the money and luxury to probably flip him to somebody who is maybe on the cusp of a price change that you particularly want from opening round, but that may leave you short for a different round. I'm kind of a bit torn on what I'm going to do specifically with Hayden Young. The roll was good. I'm kind of leaning towards trade only because this is shaky enough to kind of jump me a little bit.
I mean, his history doesn't paint a good picture. His injury history doesn't paint a good picture, but full preseason, and I only started getting these issues in preparation for the Geelong game, and then this has come out of the Geelong game. So probably tells you that Fremantle probably should have rested him from that game in the first place, but...
See, that's the part that really messes me up, right? Like, is that the reporting on this makes it seem... Well, I say, but it paints it as they already.
I will say this though,
he was aware of his hamstrings,
like
they were there.
I will say this though, all preseason, anytime Young has been missing from the training track, the reporting has been almost, jumping at shadows. Like, wasn't out with the group today. It's like, yeah, because he was inside. It was preseason doing weights. Like, he didn't need to be with the main squad at this point in time. Like. It just it's hard to believe or take what is being reported with any more than a grain of salt because they have jumped at shadows like this entire preseason about anything to do with him. Whereas he's had an entire preseason, he's had a full preseason. He's told people that he's now confident in his body. So it's just unfortunate that this last couple of weeks when the season has actually started, he has had these issues, and unfortunately, it means he's missing this week, possibly next week as well.
Have been as confident in his body as he is.
Well, no, the issue has been that he hasn't felt confident enough in his body to deem himself fit to play, and like it's almost been like the doctors have had to convince him, no, you're fine, you completed every session this week, like that kind of thing, and it's kind of he's dealt with that and he's come back in the preseason in ripping shape. And unfortunately, he's just had to deal with another setback. Hopefully, it's only one minor setback. But yeah, I feel sorry for him, the player. But as a Supercoach option, I think you hold for 1 week.
Unless you can get something better.
Unless you can get a clear upgrade, yes.
Yeah, look. I think this one is safe to say that's dealer's choice. Hayden Young is dealer's choice. I don't think I would blame anyone who trades out of him based on the lack of timeline and based on being able to get a better option. But I think if you're willing to hold your nerve for at least 1 week, because who even is around his price? I've seen some names float around like Max Hall, people flipping Hayden Young to Max Hall with some DPP shenanigans.
I've seen people flip him to Harley Reid.
That's short.
I don't trust it, but yep, you're right.
Yeah, sure. If you've got some money to go up, there's a few real nice options around the 500k. LDU, Caleb Sarong.
If you started Connor Rosie, I've seen people getting like Wayne Miller and flipping Rosie into your midfield.
Yeah, I don't hate that either. Although Miller, I do worry about him being able to maintain it. Only because he's job sharing that a little bit with, we spoke about him last week, Josh Worrell.
Oh man, Josh Worrell looks so good.
They both look so good. Like they're a dynamic duo, really, and they were both getting their ball in relatively similar positions across the ground. I checked the heat maps, Damo. It's very interesting that Adelaide have two guys who are getting the ball very, very well in very similar ways, and they're using it it's so good. But I don't know if I can trust either one of them to go long term, which you'd probably want around that price mark if you're paying up that little bit to go from Young to Miller.
If you can get someone from your forward line into your midfield, I don't mind a Connor McDonald.
How do you feel about Sicily?
No.
No?
No.
Care to give me some more?
I've been burnt by Sicily too. I've got very few players on my never again list, but Sicily is one of them.
Okay. So it's not so much objective. Objective.
You asked me if how I felt about Sicily, and the answer is no.
Sure. Okay. Yep. Point taken. I did ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Forget that then, listeners. Hey, should we talk about Gulden? What are we doing with Gulden?
Gone. Traded. Gone.
Obviously. But who have you traded Gulden to?
I've done a sneaky. Sneaky. So I initially thought about just going Gulden down to Braden Cook, banking however much money that was.
Yes.
And then I looked at my team and I was like, through these best 18 weeks, I'm going to have one less premium than most other people. And considering my round one wasn't fantastic and I'm already behind the 8 ball a little bit, I decided to get rid of Blackiston and bring in Jack Sinclair before his price gets out of reach.
Very good.
So those are the moves that I've made, only because, and I still think you can hold on to Blackiston and have a look for it for another week, but the way I've worked it out is I needed Braden Cook because I think he's a rookie that you'll need. Obviously, a second look would be good, but the role looked okay against Collingwood. I don't think he's going to score a 92 every week, by the way, but I think he's going to make good money. And then Jack Sinclair just looks fantastic with the back line to himself now, basically. That's St Kilda.
Yeah. Jack Sinclair, I think, is such a no-brainer option for your team if you don't have him. He had a really fantastic, consistent role. Kind of, it's weird, isn't it? Because he had that really good season and then kind of a meh year last year, and then came home pretty strong when they started using NAS a bit differently. It felt like.
Yeah.
So it's weird because it's kind of what's happening to NAS now.
Yeah.
Like, is that fair to say? Like, I've kind of.
I don't think the issue is how they're using NAS. I think it's how the opposition is preparing for NAS.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
I want to put something on listeners' radars. There is a website out there called Stat Chief. You can plan your team trades weeks ahead or up to 6 weeks ahead. There is a chatbot that you can chat to for ideas. There's even going to be extra features coming in like buy planning and all that sort of thing. And we're even going to have the Stat Chief on this podcast around the buy rounds to talk you through step by step how to use his buy planner. So look out for that. But go and check out the website now. That is statchief.com. Put in your team, set it up, use it week to week. You don't have to be in the Supercoach app. You don't have to have Supercoach Plus, although Supercoach Plus is a great thing to have. Stat Chief gives you all of that stuff plus extra projections. So I actually really like this website, and I've been playing around with it myself, and I think it's really, really cool.
Very good. We love our little entrepreneurial kings out there.
The other thing that I just want to let listeners know about is we're going to be starting a new article on the website every Sunday night. So after the completion of the round, it's going to have all the suspensions and all of the injuries all in a list in one place for all the Supercoach relevant players. And we're going to go through the press conferences from the coaches, see what the media is saying about all these injuries, timelines, the reactions, all that sort of thing. Like, and I got the idea because of the Todd Marshall injury. I watched the Josh Carr presser because there was nothing out of the game. There was no one even chasing it up to even tell anyone about it. And then tuned into the Josh Carr presser and they asked him, Todd Marshall finished the game on the bench. Josh Carr didn't care. He said, it's just an ankle. He's fine. Like, if that information was out there sooner, I think people would have been able to plan their trades a bit sooner. But I mean, obviously, we got the injury report on a Tuesday, which gives you plenty of time anyway. But people were almost having their trades thought out for the worst case scenario, which is, probably a good thing, really. But It just means that every Sunday night, this article is going to come out, and people can look at all the key injury news and see what the coaches and the media is saying, all in one place.
Sounds good to me, Damo.
A lot of questions to get through to Clarky.
Hell yeah.
We've got a couple of voice memos, and then we've got a long list of questions. Lots of people have given us a lot of things that they want to know about. So let's start with the voice memos. The first one is from Jeffrey Head.
Hey, Jeff.
Here he is.
Boys, it's me. It's Jeff. Yeah, that Jeff. Yeah, pretty disappointed in the world, in life. There's a doggy here. It's barking. Pretty disappointed in that. Yeah, had a cold pie. That was pretty disappointing. Dog just took a shit. Yeah, I'm still taking a shit. I'm not cleaning that up. Anyway, the Bont, I can't believe I faded him. I had him in my team. Thought it would be good to go some mid prices. Young, faded him. Why? I don't know. I'm a fucking idiot. That's a couple trades down now to try and fix all that shenanigans. Anyway, hope you guys had a better first round than poor old Jeffrey had. But yeah, love your work, boys. Keep it up. Big kisses, big hugs. Love ya.
It's sick that we got dog poo update. I'm a big fan of the dog poo update segment that is now on this podcast.
Yeah, a bit to unpack from that one. Hey, look, you don't have to worry about Hayden Young now.
Yeah, that's funny. It's actually aged better. It's aged a little bit like the cheese. It's got the mold on the outside, but you just cut some of it away. There's cheese underneath.
Fading Bont, look, I don't think people need to panic about fading Bont. We all knew that these performances could come out, but you were fading him because he was expensive, not because you didn't know what Bont could do.
We do this every year, Damo. We do this dance. We say, Bont's too expensive, he's not worth it. And then he comes out and he's causing 160 and everyone's like, oh, he was worth it. That's actually the natural cycle. That's how the way things are meant to be.
Oh, yeah,
Jeff,
but,
Jeff, I'm looking down the barrel at you right now. You can't see this because this is an audio medium, but I'm looking. It's okay, buddy. We all did it. Those people that started Bont, they're 1%ers. They don't know what it's like to struggle like us regular people that have to pay bills, that have children, that have dogs shitting. They don't know what it's like, these Bont owners. Okay? It's okay. I like the...
he's in 23% of teams now, but before the round started, I think he was only in 19 or 18% of teams. So, for Bontempelli, that is, point of difference numbers.
Yeah. Podtempelli? There's something there.
Something there.
There's something there. Don't worry about it, Jeff. Sometimes this game is tough. Every week you finish and I've got about 4 different group chats that go, what do you think par was this week? And they name a number that I'm nowhere near. Even my good friend Damo, after a round, will be like, oh, my team's done terribly. I've had a very terrible week. And then Damo will name a number that's higher than my number. And that's just the nature of the beast. We're here because we can do it. It's round 1. You can do it, Jeff. I want to hear, I want to hear a positive update for next week. I want you to tell me about your wins. And that brings me to my next point, Damo, because we did ask for grievances on our Twitter.
Yeah.
And our Facebook. I think I want to try and encourage people to voice in or potentially write in, and we should have a little segment. I'm going to workshop some names here, but I want grievances and gratitudes or something along that lines, right? I want you to tell me some crap things. Tell us about the crap things that happened and tell us about the good things that happened, all right? If you need to vent it out, just vent it out, but we got to be positive, right? You can't let it fester. That's what we're here for. We're here to listen. So if you got a grievance or a gratitude, make sure you send them in because we want to hear them. We want to talk them out with you. And we want to tell you that it's okay. That's what we're here for.
Maybe the next person who sent us a voice memo will have something like that. Next one is Benji.
Ooh, friend of the show.
Yes, inspired the music episode.
Yeah, well, Jeff is a long-time friend of the show, but Benji's second, I believe. Top 10.
Hello, everyone. It's Benji here. I promised a full breakdown and meltdown for the mailbag, and I'll be honest, I was feeling bloody pissed off. after the Western Bulldogs played because Connor Buderick, oh my God, what was I thinking? Lockie Blackiston as well. Oh my days. And it didn't get better with those stupid mid-prices. Caleb Windsor. What am I, a fucking idiot for starting all three of them? Sorry for the language. And my bloody primos, Jordan Clark and Lockie Whitfield. What on earth was I doing? I'm going to be honest, I was in full meltdown mode after that Doggies game because of Buderick, because I didn't want to start him or Blackiston, but I got bloody suckered in by my silly little idea of, oh yeah, they're going to be fine. They're going to average 80, 85, make some money, and then you can trade him out. Well, guess what, lads? You're this close to getting freaking traded this week. Anyway, hope everyone has a fabulous week. Damon Clarkey, I hope you are well. Yeah, that's it. You're welcome.
That was excellent. I love that.
Yeah, that was excellent. Thank you so much, Benji. I'm gonna copy and paste what I was saying to Jeff, right? You can do it. It's fine. Shit happens. You heard earlier in the show, you know what? You know what Supercoach Dad did? Supercoach Fun Weekend Dad did? He switched Nick Dacos to LDU. You know why? Because it's the made-up game with the made-up numbers. I would like to actually take a little minute to talk about Caleb Windsor. I don't know if we've got any questions related to him, and I could easily see that if I looked at the run sheet, but I already forget the questions that I read in the run sheet.
Spoiler, we don't.
Caleb Windsor had a fantastic role in the Melbourne squad. He was there at stoppages. He was getting ball. He's just not the best user at it yet. They know what they want to be done for him. There's a couple of good breakdowns that I've seen out there, but the way that he works from the back of the stoppage to use his pace to push through it, to get ball and then drive it forward, that's really important to this current Melbourne game strategy. And it was working on the weekend. Like a 70 from Caleb Windsor with the stats that he had, I think is probably unders, and it comes down to Supercoach not rewarding efficiency. They were making mistakes. It's a relatively younger squad. I think Windsor is probably, much like we've said about Blackiston, there's a reason behind that score. I think he's actually a pretty safe hold because of the role. That's just my 2 cents on Windsor. I don't know if you've got anything further to add to that, Damo.
I mean, the role looked like it was there, so I'm not reading too much into his score. What did he score? 70-ish?
70 on the dot.
Yeah, so I think that's above his price point anyway. So I think
Yes.
I think you wait another week and give it another look. I'm not too worried about him at 283k. I think that's still a pretty good price for what he could produce. And I think he's going to be a good pick in the long run as well. So don't really worry about that.
The thing that I really feel about for Benji is the Jordan Clark, Lockie Whitfield gamble.
Oh, I have both of them as well, and I am in his corner on this one. Lockie Whitfield's time on ground in the second and third quarter was near non-existent.
Interesting.
He was the score at the end of the first quarter looked fantastic. It looked like he was going to be in for a big day. And then he scored like another 30 points in like the last quarter. Looked like he was, back to how he was in the first. And he scored like 10 points combined in the second and third quarters because he was on the bench like most of the time. So I think teams are still trying to work out this fifth player thing, which is probably going to annoy us for some time with some players' scorings. But yeah, Whitfield's on set. I think Whitfield's going to be fine. They just need to work out, how to keep him on the ground for longer. Jordan Clark, I think he's going to be all right. Just Geelong running over the top of the Dockers in that last quarter meant all the points were going to Geelong in their key moments, and the Dockers weren't really getting much for what they were doing because they weren't in a position to win. So, yeah, or what they were getting out of a position to win, I should say. So I think Jordan Clark is also going to be okay. But yes, having both of them in round one is very unfortunate.
Stinky, some would call it. I don't know who would call it that. I don't know who would
stinky
use that.
Butthole.
Really stinky.
All right, let's get to some of the let's get to the questions. First one is Lachlan. So how silly are we for fading Bont? Very, but we'll be fine.
No,
or maybe we won't be fine. I don't know.
Here's the thing. This is the last thing I'll say about it, Damo. Yes, it's silly to fade Bond, but only because we have the same conversation, right? Like it's because it's the same thing. That's why it feels silly. So I think we need to just accept it. Like, before you start your team every year, you need to just you should have to tick a box that goes like, yes or no marketing, yes or yes, I agree with the terms and conditions, and yes or no, I will be starting Bont. And then you're locked in, so you don't have to make the choice, right? You opt in or you opt out of Bont, and that's it. You can't. It's already taken away from your salary cap.
The thing about Bont, right, and this is the only thing that I will say is, people are like, oh, he's turned 30, so he must be declining now. Like that was one of the things out there that that I saw as the reasoning for not starting him. Once you turn 30, you don't just drop off a cliff. I mean,
not if you're a high performance athlete, Damo.
Sorry, if you're an athlete, you don't just drop off a cliff most of the time. If you're me or Clarky, I can't really speak for you, Clarky, but
it's my birthday this week, and I have been blessed in these last months in the lead up to my birthday of a pinched nerve and a bulging disc in my back. I might never be the same again.
Bontempelli, you are not. But yeah, no, people have these ideas that once you turn 30, your ability just completely goes away. But I mean, Bontempelli is genuinely a Brownlow chance this season, especially with performances like the one out of the weekend. So yes, we're silly for fading him, but I also don't think he's going to be unreachable for the entire season.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you either started him or you didn't, and it's kind of binary. Don't feel bad about it, because he's going to have a week where you have a primo that outscores Bont, and you're going to be like, see, it all worked out for me. So we're not silly, Lachlan, unless you're wearing some kind of funny hat, and you might be a little bit silly.
I think this next guy with his name might be wearing a funny hat. I don't know about Lachlan, but the next guy might. His name is Benulog.
Oh, that's fun. I love that.
2042 to start. Ouch. What do I prioritize here? Fixing Archie Roberts in defense, fixing Blackiston in the flex, or rookies like Toby Murray and Philippou? Oh, Archie
Rookies.
Roberts, I think you need to see him again. As painful as it was to sit through that last week, I think you got to look at that again. Blackiston, there's some, there is some merit to seeing what you can do with it.
I see what you did there.
But I think you hold on to him for one more week unless you're making a move that makes complete sense. Don't just force a move for the sake of a move. As for the rookies, look, Philippou, as long as he plays, should be fine. He's 168k. He's going to score like a rookie. Obviously, he's an established player. He has a key role, or at least they want him to have a key role. His scoring isn't quite mirroring that, but as long as he's going to keep pumping out 60s and 70s, he's going to make cash and be okay. Toby Murray, though,
is the guy who plays for Freo?
No, he's the backup ruckman for Adelaide.
Oh,
what did he score on the weekend? I don't even think I paid attention to it. Oh, he scored a whopping 12.
Oof. It's insert Minecraft damage sound here.
Yeah, look, I think the good thing is his price won't change this week. The bad news is I don't know who else you go to.
How much is
in the forward line? 119k.
Ooh.
Unless you can swap someone into your forward line and then pick up someone like a Milan Murdoch or a Tom Blamiras or someone like that, or Tom Blamires, however you say his name, then I think you just leave it for now and assess the rookie situation again next week.
Yeah, look, Ben, I think the key for you this week would be to get your rookies all in a row, because that's going to, Archie Roberts' role can change. He had relatively low time on ground. Blackiston's playing Vicentini this week, so you can, maybe you can flip him out somewhere for a better scoring flex option because he's defender eligible. But your rookies are your rookies, so let's get them in order, I think.
So if you have 40k in your bank, I don't mind flipping Toby Murray to Braden Cook.
Yes. Or Malcolm Roses.
Or Malcolm Roses. That
seems like a pretty good slow burn.
Yeah, He's in that Sydney team now. Like,
Yeah, like I like him because he feels relatively secure in role at the moment. At the moment. I can
Yeah.
change it a moment's notice, Damo.
at the moment. Next question comes from Mr. Snrub.
Ooh, I like the way Snrub things.
Why did I pick all the poo-poo primos this year? Brayshaw most CBAs but just stinks, ? Should I boost and sideways 3 primos? My worst start in a long time. The game has changed.
They changed what it
Don't-
was.
Don't talk about Brayshaw like that, okay? He had a shit game on the weekend, but he will be fine, okay? I have talked too many people out of trading him out this week. He is going to be fine.
Damo, it was a terrible score. In a game where Freo was so dominant for a lot of the game.
Clarky.
Not the second half.
Clarky,
so
I
much.
watched the game. It's okay. You don't need to tell me again. Yes, his score was
Did you win
shit.
or lose that game?
Clarky, I will walk off this podcast right now.
We're in our homes, Damo. Where would you go? You're already home. There's nowhere for
Away.
you to leave to.
I would walk away and you'd have to finish the podcast yourself.
Oh yeah, that would be so awful.
Fucking hell, I'll do it.
No, it's interesting. I think it's very reactionary considering you do get another look at break. People are worrying about break evens too much right now. I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're right now, the only players you need to worry about are the ones that played an opening round that have now played 2 games in a row, because those are the ones whose prices are going to change this instant, or, well, rather, this week. So, yeah, I think hold on to Brayshaw, give him another look. He should be okay. He won't want to repeat his second half of last week, where he was shit.
Snrub hasn't mentioned the other 2 primos that he wants to sideways.
Yeah, I don't know. He says all the poo-poo primos, so I'm assuming he might have a Butters as well. He might have a Whitfield. He might have a Clark. Who knows? But
Butters is one of the most traded out people in my team this week. He's coming out from quite a lot of teams, which is crazy to me.
did you see the article on Code Sports?
I did not.
Over 2,000 people have traded out Nick Dacos.
Crazy. Weird.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
Yeah, weird
do
shit. Also, I just want to touch on the game has changed thing. The new rules have made for a new breed of Supercoach Premium.
Yes.
I'm not willing to call it a trend just yet, but there are players who are usually score at will that because the game is so open, they just aren't getting their hands on the ball anymore. There are some, I don't have exact examples right now, but it feels like unless you move forward and impact the scoreboard, you kind of get stranded in your scoring.
Okay.
This is something I'm going to monitor for the entire season. It feels like the scoring has changed slightly because of the way the game has opened up with the new rules.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I can completely see that. I think it's really important that we take that into account, as well, that there are teams that are changing their ways of playing is something else that I'll think about. Just thinking, because I've just been thinking back to the spread of Melbourne scores. There wasn't actually that many. Max Gawn, I think, was the highest scorer for Melbourne at 120, and the disposals spread for Melbourne was quite even. Caleb Windsor was one of the highest disposal getters with 21 disposals. That's just kind of how it is. So, if you need to take into account the context of the new rules and then any new systems that might be affecting it as well, as far as we're thinking the game has changed. Supercoach is weird like that because there's a bit of mystery and magic in how it scores.
Next question comes from Jared. It's regarding the Goulden injury. He has 630k to play with. He already owns Sinclair, Rosie, Clark, Butters, Anderson, Sarong, English, Sheasel, and Petrarca. Who is your favourite to bring in as a replacement out of Jackson, Callahan, Holmes, Merritt, Richards, Lockie Ash, Jordan Dawson, or Nick Blakey? Thanks for the guidance, legends.
Oh, I appreciate you, mate.
And he wants to let us know that he liked the intro of the pod last week. Elite musical choice.
Yeah, shout out to Play Lunch, one of the best Australian 7-piece. I think they're a 7-piece band.
There's a lot of them. There might be 9, there might be 7. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're great. I love that funk influence. I would say out of those picks, probably Holmes or Jackson.
I really like
two.
Jackson.
Oh, shocking.
Actually, let's
I mean that in the nicest way possible.
let's take away if we take away Jackson, my next favorite is probably Zach Merritt.
I think you're right though. Jackson he was prolific, but also he was going up against Geelong's newly unveiled ruckman. They had one this whole time.
I think the most surprising part out of that game on the weekend was the fact that Geelong actually had a ruckman.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting this week with Jackson though, because I imagine that they're going to run a 2-ruck setup against Gawn, and then Gawn's only pinch hitters are really Petty, I think is who is taking the additional ruck duties.
I wouldn't be surprised if on the back of the Hayden Young injury, they bring in Mason Cox, and it is a Cox-Darcy double team against Gawn, with Jackson playing the Hayden Young role through the midfield.
Interesting. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe a little bit of a watch on that one, but Holmes is on a bye this week, so I don't know if you really want to bring in a non-playing player.
I really like the Zach Merritt pick though.
Yeah, Zach Merritt's a cheeky little pod.
I think Zach Merritt, Luke Jackson is probably the two that I would look at first.
How much is Merritt?
573, so really not.
That's so cheap.
Is it 573 or 593?
Either way, that's still really cheap.
583.
Yeah, you split the difference.
I nailed the range.
Split the difference. I think Merritt's an interesting one because he was racking up ball for fun.
Yeah.
But also, it doesn't look bad. So I don't know if can he do that every week? Or are they just not going to give a shit at a certain point and he just gets put wherever? I
think if they want him to stay, they will let him do whatever he wants.
Allegedly, they tabled a deal to him, Damo, is what I mean.
Yeah, exactly right, because they want him to stay. So they will let him do whatever he wants so that he signs on the dotted line. Next question comes from Greg. Curious about the best choice for the Goulden trade. Another one. I have 146k in the bank. Do I loop Petrarca from forward to mid and bring in Flanders, which leaves me 300k? It's not a bad option. Straight swap for Bont, chewing up all my cash. Also a good option. He has Butters, Dacos, Dawson, Holmes, and Goulden with Cornelio and rookies in his mids.
Interesting.
I actually don't mind using all the cash and going to Bont. But I also really like the idea of getting Flanders as well. Even though Flanders hasn't looked great, I think that's a really good option as well.
Not to sound too pragmatic about it, but I don't think either one is a bad choice. I think they're paths. So in making a decision, you kind of have to look.
I think
what did Flanders score on the weekend?
104. 104.
So I think objectively, keeping the extra cash really protects you in a way that Bont doesn't afford you. So it's kind of a forge ahead. Western Bulldogs are playing Adelaide this week.
Yeah.
It's an interesting choice. I don't think it's hard. Okay, sorry. I'm going in circles in my brain here. You can hear me spinning the tires. It's hard because Bont scored so well in this previous round that it feels like going to him is just immediately okay, well, I have a guy who can absolutely reach that. But the reality of him reaching that score regularly is quite low. How many games did he have that were probably 130 plus last year? I would have to ballpark maybe it was 7 or 8. And then the rest of them were probably averaging around 120, right? Damo's semi-fact checking.
I'm looking because I feel like it was more than you think.
Yeah, it probably is more than I think. But with Flanders, it feels like if he can consistently remain at that 90 to 100 output in the forward line, plus you having 300k, that you could jump onto Bont later on.
So 11 out of 18 games were 130 plus.
130 plus. Fuck, I should have picked 140. How many 140?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Jesus Christ. Fucking Bontempelli, man.
The one thing I will say, if you do bring in Flanders, don't lose track of what you want to use that 300k for. Don't just spend it. Like, that 300k is going to be really useful down the line at some point. Don't just use it for the sake of using it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I think if you go to Bont and use up all your cash, then you get that sort of safety net, backup captain, always reliable kind of guy. If you go down to Flanders and have that 300k in your bank, just don't lose sight of what you want your team to look like by the end of all your upgrades and downgrades. Like, make sure you use that money wisely. Don't lose sight of your cadence and use it to actually improve your team. Don't just use it to bring in a guy who's had one good game.
I'm really frustrated now because those stats are way better than I thought they were. I'm not above admitting that I was wrong, Damo. I can't justify spending all of my reserve cash. I think if I was you, Greg, I would be going for Flanders. You've got enough other captain options that Flanders and 300k gives you so much more flexibility down the line.
I'll side with you on this, but if you ask me in like an hour, my answer might be totally different. If you ask me tomorrow morning, my answer might be different again. Like,
it's like next week, Greg.
Like, it's one of those things where this, like, it's not going to define how your team goes, but it's going to be one of those.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was getting
It's
at.
going to be one of those key moments that decides how you manage your team moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's what I was getting at, right? Like, there's no bad option; it's paths.
Mm.
Like, it's much of a much. If it were me, I would take Flanders. In fact, I'm actually considering flipping Goulden to Flanders because Flanders didn't make it into my final team. It's too easy to not take on more risk by not having a cash. Like, if something, God, like, touch wood, if something were to happen to another premium and you've got nothing to help you with that, that's crazy scary. Like, we didn't expect anything to happen to Goulden, and what happened to Goulden was so innocuous.
Yeah.
Like, it was a clean tackle and he just landed wrong and he's out for months now. Go with Flanders. Be safe is my jerky wet blanket approach. Bont is fun though. Bont is more fun.
He also says, thanks for the podcast. It's been a staple for me for the last 2 seasons.
No, everyone's really sweet this week, Damo.
Yeah,
everyone's really sweet
people
this
like
week.
you, Greg, keep us going.
Yeah.
Next question is Matthew. What am I saying? Errol replacement. Error. Jesus.
Error. Damo has hit the 1 hour free limit. If you would like more podcasts, please subscribe.
Errol replacement. Got that out finally.
Yeah.
Primo mid or Primo ruck or to Murdoch for cash gen.
Flip him to another Primo mid.
Yeah. Look, you will need Murdoch at some point, so don't be afraid to bring him in next week for your worst rookie. But right now, if you want to replace Errol with another Primo, you brought him in as one of your Primos, you want to replace him with a Primo.
Yep. Done.
Rupink06 says, if Clark goes badly again next week, do we trade? And which is better, Houston or Worrell?
Look, I've already said this. I'm not open to being traded. I have been shopping myself around. I don't think there are other podcasts that want me, Roop. I think I want to see out my contract with the mailbag. Despite my poor performance, I think I can improve. Every week is a new podcast. I think I have time and ability on my side. My time in this league has been absolutely invaluable, and I appreciate the mailbag for having me.
Look, I don't think Clarkey will be that. I don't think Jordan Clarkey, the Clarkey that we like at the moment,
Whoa,
is going to do badly again next week. But hey, in the case that he does, and you do want to trade him, I think I prefer Worrell over Houston.
I think I prefer the coaches panel. Yeah, I like Worrell more than Houston, only because I don't know how Darcy Moore changes that defensive line. I know it doesn't affect Houston's role specifically, but between him, Josh Dacos, and Darcy Moore, like, there's kind of probably some structural things that are a question mark. But did we speak about it off air or on air, Damo? But Miller and Worrell both look really fantastic and have similar ways of scoring. Worrell's fun. Go Worrell.
If you have to, that is.
Yeah, I probably
and
wouldn't
then
trade.
last question, a double appearance from Jeffrey Head. Blackiston to Joe Fonte. Surely it's a good move with Blackiston's fixture and Fonte's fixture side by side. Love you, gents.
No, thanks, Jeff.
No, I'm not buying I'm not buying the Joe Fonte hype.
I would like to point out as well that Jeff has called him Fontempelli, which I love as well. It's tough with Joe Fonte. I think he's a very good player.
On projection, Joe Fonte only makes cash for 2 to 3 weeks. Is using the trade worth the 3-week cash?
How much is Fonte starting at now?
Cash jump. 298, I think.
Yeah, that's tough, right?
Yeah, 298 on the dot.
I think you probably hold it out for a better long-term option.
Yeah.
It feels like...
Look,
you know what? I've been looking for a way to weasel this in a few times, but something that has been sticking in my mind quite a lot as my chair squeaks as loud as possible. Something I've been thinking about a lot this year is advice that I received from good friend Lekdog, which was that you move a lot more in rank if you're playing for overall in the back end of the year. So being a bit more conservative at the start can really service you in the long run, as long as you're keeping a relative economic growth in your team. So sticking with your rookies, making sure you have green dots and not unnecessarily trading players for quick money or quick moves without a clear need. So I'm kind of torn on whether or not this is a good move. I probably wouldn't do it.
Look, I'll give Jeffrey the benefit of saying that yes, Fonte's fixture probably does look better than Blackiston's side by side.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But in terms of what he's going to do versus what Blackiston's going to do, you're pretty much going to have the same player moving in the same direction for the same amount of time, making a similar amount of cash. Fonte might make a little more cash because his scoring is a little less reliant on his role, but I think you already have Blackiston, and then to trade him out is one trade. To bring Fonte in and then trade him out, that is 2 trades. I don't think it's going to be too much of a difference to just hold on to Blackiston, because I don't think either of these guys are keepers.
Yeah, fair enough.
The traffic lights will launch this week. This week's one will focus on players from the opening round, though, that are set to play their 3rd game of the season. So we will touch on a whole range of players. Look, it's going to look a bit different, the traffic lights this season, but I think I've made the change for the better. But you need to tell me how you feel, and I can make tweaks because it's the community that uses it, and I want to tailor it to you guys. So keep a lookout for our traffic lights on our socials and on our website. They will be posted shortly after teams drop on a Thursday, with an update on Friday if needed, once Sunday teams are confirmed. And pretty cool thing, on our website on the front page, you can click the traffic lights button art, and it's like a big artwork thing. It's actually a button next to the podcast player, and it will take you to the latest edition of the lights on Instagram.
Handy.
Clarky, where can people go and find their captain's advice?
You can also find it with the other button that's on the website. That's right next to the traffic lights one, where Nate's been writing his Captain's Corners article, which I believe there's one out now.
Yep. So they go up on Tuesdays. He sometimes will make a little edit that I put up on a Wednesday morning, but most of the time they'll go live on a Tuesday. You'll get to see what I'm captaining, what Nate's captaining, or what Clark is captaining, if he tells us in time.
Damo's pointing out that the article went up on Tuesday and I didn't see the message until today. And I was like, I don't know what my captain is because it's Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever you ask me. For those listening at Damo, you can update the captain's article live. They're pretty much the same as yours. I'm going Tim English and Petrarca.
Excellent. And that's it for this episode of the Footy Mailbag. If you haven't given us a rating on your listening platform of choice, please do so. It helps new listeners find us. And you can find us on social media at The Footy Mailbag on X and Facebook, at The Footy Mailbag on Instagram, and also thefootymailbag.net is our website. Clarky, where can people find you?
You can find me at Quantum JC or over at The Falcon, which is out at Falcon Footy Pod. I have taken over the editing reins for that podcast and it only came out today, but hey, I also got to choose the title. So we talked about Melbourne never losing again with the flag D's, baby. 2026 is the year of the D's. Again, it's back.
And I'm at DamoSC on Twitter. Thanks for listening. We'll talk next time.
Love you. Bye.